Hello, friends. Your old Uncle Andy here, the UC Panda himself, coming to you on Thanksgiving Eve. And we hope to be bringing you some winning sports plays. And we've done a lot of homework. We feel we've ferreted out the data pretty well. And we've got all the facts. We've done our homework and we're ready to present it to you. We hope to go ahead and see to it that we have a profitable weekend, a fun weekend, but it's important that we control ourselves. There are 70, I said 70 college basketball games today. There's 15 NHL games tonight. There are probably 75 Division One college football games over the course of the weekend, with probably 27 more NHL games Friday and Saturday, and a full NFL card on Sunday. And I didn't even mention the NBA. I don't bet that too much, so I don't pay attention to it, but I'm sure there are a lot of NBA games going on in addition to whatever else may be out there. So it's important you remember good bankroll management. Don't overdo it. My advice would be do something like what I'm doing. I'm really good at betting hockey. Don't know anything about NBA, so I very rarely ever bet NBA. I pay a lot of attention to hockey. I don't have time to pay attention to the NBA. Maybe you know a lot about the NBA. Maybe that's something you enjoy, and maybe you don't like hockey. So in that case, for you, don't bet NHL and go ahead and bet NBA. Follow it. Once we really get into college basketball and it's really moving and we get into conference play, my advice would be go ahead and pick a conference that you like, preferably a smaller conference like the Patriot League, something like that, the Ivy League, some of these smaller conferences that the books aren't paying that much attention to, and maybe they get it wrong once in a while. Go ahead and focus on just those conferences rather than we get to the third January Saturday and there are 130 college basketball games and you're trying to figure out the solution to all these games and trying to pick a winner 130 times. You're not going to do it. You're going to fail. You're going to crash and burn. So don't do that. So just go ahead and take it easy, or just follow me and bet my system. We're up over 100 units of profit this year. We've lost a few units over the course of the week, thanks mainly to Texas State losing. Luckily, last weekend we did not tie all of the teasers and parlays and plays into Texas State. Thank goodness they got caught in a look-ahead spot. They overlooked their foe last week. We're looking ahead to this week's game, and it came back to bite them. They didn't just lose the game, they got trounced as 21-point favorites. So that ended up costing us probably about 28 units of profit. It's not to say we had 28 bets on them, but we did have 14 bets on them tied into teasers that lost that would have otherwise been winners. And so we would be sitting at about 130 units right now as opposed to 104. So that's really only about the second time this year we've stepped on the landmine. We were sort of due for one, such as that. The last time we stepped on the landmine was way back in September in week 2 of NFL, and we had the Ravens and they went down to the Raiders, I believe, in a stupid display. So that's the way it goes. Keep on following us over at Uncle Andy Sports for more plays. This is most of what I've got, though, that I'm going to present. Like I said, it's going to be something of a longer video, but we want to make sure we get the facts out there to you. We do have a lot of time today to go ahead and settle in here and really sort of get down to the nuts and bolts of these numbers and come back to see us on Friday, probably for a video where we go over all the Sunday NFL plays. We've got a lot of hockey for you, and we've got a lot of college football for you. We're going to go ahead and go back to the Juice Reducer Moneyline Parlay. I like the Buckeyes against Michigan. I like Ohio this weekend. I like Penn State, again, just to win the games. It's a minus 370. It has like an 84% implied probability of hitting. This should hit. Michigan, I don't think is going to go into Columbus as a 20-point dog and win. I think Michigan may cover the number, but I just don't see them winning. I think Ohio sails to victory. They need this game for the MAC championship to at least get there. And Penn State against Maryland. Maryland's terrible. They've thrown in the towel. I wouldn't be surprised if their coach got fired come Black Monday. So I do like this money line parlay, and it will reduce some of the juice on these teasers. So let's get into it. I do like Memphis on Thanksgiving night. I'm not sure why the Egg Bowl, the game between Mississippi and Mississippi State, is not being played on Thanksgiving. It's been played on Thanksgiving as long as I can remember. They swapped it out for Memphis and Tulane, which should be still a pretty good game. I think Tulane will win the game. I think Memphis will go ahead and keep it close. So we're going to go ahead and take them plus the 17.5. And these numbers, what they mean behind the actual bets, this plus 105, for example, for Memphis, that's the payout on this bet. Whereas Memphis, in parentheses, the minus 163, that's what the prop would be for Memphis plus 17 and a half by itself would be a minus 163 wager. So by using the juice reducer parlay, we've taken the Memphis plus 17 and a half prop from minus 163 to now it's a plus money payout at plus 105. So that's why we do the juice reducer, and it gets us a little wiggle room with these books. These books are really good. This is probably the last regular season week of college football. These books have got almost 3 months worth of data on these teams, about 2 months worth of conference play. These books are on top of it. You're not going to beat these books, I don't believe, in just straight up betting at this point. Same thing for college basketball. Once we get into February, the books have got all the data. You're going to need to sort of wiggle and tease things around a little bit. So go ahead and take Miami and Bowling Green in the under 43 and a half. Tease that as much as I could. Both need this game to get into the MAC title game. Toledo did everybody a lot of favors last night by losing and wiping out a bet that I had. So thank you to the Rockets. But the last 4 games between the Red Hawks and I believe Bowling Green to the Falcons, the games have gone under. I have this game also going under. I have it landing at 41 and a half points. So we're going to go and take the under 43 and a half. Could probably be a weather game. It's going to be cold. That's a good MAC weather. Run the ball a lot. So we're going to go ahead and take the under. We're going to go and take the under in the Egg Bowl between Ole Miss and Mississippi State. The under has hit in this game quite a few times recently. It has hit in the last 4 Egg Bowls. So we're going to go ahead and take the under here as well. We'll take the under also in Liberty and Sam Houston. Both of these teams need this game for them to get to the Conference USA title game. So I think it's going to be defense. I think it's going to be running. Time of possession is going to be a big thing. Both of them are going to try to run the ball, grind the clock out. And these teams are a combined 12 and 8 to the under this year. So we're going to go ahead and take the under. I like San Jose State to win the ball game against Stanford. Unfortunately, this has turned into a bit of a trendy dog. In other words, a trendy dog is a dog that it's an underdog. San Jose State is an underdog in the game, but it's a game that the public is really on. I shouldn't say that. San Jose State is not an underdog, but it's a game the public's really getting behind. And you wouldn't normally say that San Jose State would beat Stanford, Stanford being in a Power 3 conference, San Jose State being in the Mountain West. People have jumped on the bandwagon on San Jose State, but I do think they're going to win. I'll take Georgia State first half and the points against Georgia. Georgia Tech has covered these last 2 games against Georgia. It's a rivalry. I think in the end, Georgia probably is going to have the depth to go ahead and pull away at the end and go ahead and cover the number. But I think early on, Georgia Tech is going to give them all they can handle. And the Yellow Jackets have covered the last 2 meetings between these 2 teams. I love Iowa. At home against Nebraska in a rivalry game. Iowa the better team. Nebraska in a rebuild mode. Nebraska's had a respectable year considering what's happened to them last year, but I just think Iowa is going to go ahead and win here. You probably wouldn't be too bad off to go ahead and lay the number with Iowa. I think it's 5.5, but we're just going to go ahead and take them to win. Go ahead and take the safe route. We'll take Washington and the points. It's 23 and a half points. That's what I bought. It would have been 171 by itself. And with the juice reducer parlay, it's a plus 102. Washington has actually won the last 3 games against Oregon outright. The outright winner. They didn't need the points. I'm not suggesting that's what's going to happen here, but I do believe Washington's going to keep this thing as close as they can. Oregon has had a couple really close shaves this year. They have not lost a game. Probably should have lost a game or 2. They have not lost a game. It's just statistically improbable that they're going to have a perfect season. And I'm not again suggesting Oregon's going to lose to Washington, but I do think Washington keeps it close and makes this an interesting and good game to go ahead and watch. We're going to go ahead and take Vanderbilt and some points against the Tennessee Volunteers. I do think Vandy, they're a bit of an upstart. They've paid off a lot this year as an underdog, and I do think they're going to go ahead and keep this thing a little bit close. And so we're going to go ahead and take the Commodores. South Carolina playing against Clemson in a big-time rivalry game, a game that has implications for the college football playoff. I think Clemson's probably going to squeak by and win the game, I guess, but I do like South Carolina. They've been against the spread juggernaut this year. They've covered a lot of numbers, and I think they'll continue to do so here in the rivalry game against Clemson. I do like Duke. I think Duke is going to go ahead and win the game. I also like Eastern Michigan and the points against Western Michigan. Eastern Michigan is 7-4 against the spread this year, whereas Western Michigan is only 4-7 against the spread. So I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I don't think Eastern Michigan is going to pull it out, but I do think it's going to be a pretty close contest between these two. I also like South Florida against Rice to go ahead and go on the road and prevail. USF has the total advantage on statistics. If you line them up with the Rice Owls, the Golden Bulls, they're dominant in just about every category in a side-by-side comparison. So we'll go ahead and take South Florida just to win the game. I don't think you'd be that bad off to go ahead and lay the number with South Florida either, but we're going to go ahead and play it safe and just choose the Golden Bulls to win the game. And now here's my play of the week. I know these are a lot of plays. A lot of you don't have the time, the excess bankroll to go ahead and make all these small wagers. And these are all small wagers. We're not betting the rent money 25 times over, and I don't advise you do either. However, I know a lot of you want the one quick, big, easy payoff. You want to put the Ben Franklin on one bet. If you had to do that this weekend, you shouldn't do that. But if you have to do that this weekend, I would go ahead and take Boston College. Boston College, surprise upstart winner last week against North Carolina. I think that's one thing probably that helped get Mack Brown fired down there in Chapel Hill was the fact that North Carolina went into BC and lost the game. I think Chestnut Hill is where they play Boston College. But anyway, I digress. But yes, I do have Boston College winning this game big. I would go ahead and lay the 4.5, but we just went ahead and took them on money line. It's a 5-unit play for us. It's the lock of the week. It's the bet your spleen play. Go ahead and take the Eagles over the Pitt Panthers, who started the year so well, but Pitt really in recent weeks has been leaking oil pretty badly, and they're limping to the finish line. And Boston College should win this thing. They should pay. If you got any parlay cards, I'm going to play a lot of parlays myself over Thanksgiving weekend, just sort of off the record, and this will be on a lot of my big boy cards. I do like Arkansas State in the points. Arkansas State has been good to me. They were good to me last weekend. I do like them to go ahead and cover the number at home against Old Dominion. I teased it up a little bit to +7. I like Notre Dame against USC. I think Notre Dame probably will cover the 7.5 number that they're laying, but I went ahead and teased it down to just the Irish laying 3. I think they do go into Trojan land and roll. I like Auburn as a underdog with some extra points, +17. Alabama, sometimes they're very underwhelming, and last week they were extremely underwhelming against an Oklahoma team that really isn't very good either. And so I do think Auburn in a big-time rivalry game will go ahead and maybe keep this thing a little bit close. I do like Mizzou over Arkansas. You could probably go ahead and lay the points with that if you wanted to, but I do have Mizzou winning the game 31-24. I like Fresno against UCLA. Again, this is like that San Jose State game we talked about earlier. A lot of the public starting to get on San Jose, and it makes me squirm a little bit, but I do think Fresno is going to go ahead and hold on to the ball, run it, grind the clock out, and I think it's a game a lot of their kids are really up for. It's a game between kids that probably know one another and kids at Fresno maybe with a chip on their shoulder that they weren't quote unquote good enough to go to UCLA. So now we're going to go ahead and show them and I'm going to go ahead and beat them. I don't think Fresno necessarily is going to win the game. Wouldn't shock me, but I do think Fresno goes ahead and keeps it close. I do like Jacksonville State against Western Kentucky. I do think this one stays very close. I don't think Jacksonville State's going to win. Western Kentucky's had a few clunkers this year, and so I do think Jack State keeps it close. Going to go ahead and take the ugly dog here in Kennesaw State. That's a lot of points against an LA Tech outfit, Louisiana Tech outfit that really hasn't done all that much this year. Louisiana Tech shouldn't be laying 12.5 to anybody. I know Kennesaw State is new to Division One. Kennesaw State's been a little bit good to me this year, so we're going to go ahead and take them plus the 16. I do love Georgia Southern against App State. I think you could probably go ahead and lay the points there, but we took them on the money line. I also like this game to go ahead and stay under. These two teams combined are 13-7 to the under this year. And as far as ATS goes, Georgia Southern is 7-3 against the number, whereas App State, in a disappointing year, is only 4-5 against the number. So Georgia Southern all the way, and I think it stays under. I do like Iowa State as well. I'm going to take them on the money line. I also love Texas A&M and the points. I think it is going to be a nut house down in College Station at Kyle Field. Um, Ewers, the quarterback for Texas, is questionable, might not even play. I think it is going to be very loud down there at A&M, and I think A&M actually wins the ball game, but we'll certainly take them in the 8 points. I love Marshall at James Madison with the points. Marshall's been good to me as an underdog this year. And I also like Vautech at home against Virginia. Um, Vautech has won the last 3 of these games and covered against the Cavaliers. So we're going to go ahead and take Vautech first half and to win the game. That's all my college. So like I said, I know you don't have time to bet all these. So if you had to bet one single thing, I would go ahead and take Boston College. If you had to pin me down on my top 3 things, it would be A&M and the points, and it would be some kind of teaser with Notre Dame. So those would be my top 3. Got a few single plays, a couple things for Turkey Day. I love the Blue Jackets tonight against the Canadiens. Canadiens coming off of a back-to-back that they lost, going into Columbus. Columbus got a lot of firepower. So yeah, we're going to go and take the Jackets tonight. But a little Turkey Day boosted touchdown parlay. Got Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Jacobs plus 919, so 9-1. I think that's a good bet. It was boosted on DraftKings. My other parlay is going to be Squaresville, but Lions, Cowboys against a New York Giants outfit that just is no good, and a lot of trouble in the locker room, just a lot of upheaval in that organization. Not that the Cowboys are so great, they're obviously not, but I do think the Cowboys win on Thanksgiving. And I do like the Packers at home against the Dolphins. I know, a lot of people probably playing up the weather. The Dolphins have actually acquitted themselves quite well in cold weather, but I just think the Packers are going to win. And we'll just go ahead and throw the Chiefs on there for a few extra beans in their Black Friday contest against the Raiders. Minshew out for the Raiders, and just a bad situation there in that Raiders locker room as well. These are my NHL props for today, for Wednesday. And like I said, I'll be heading down to the Hard Rock here after work to put in a few parlays for myself. Not going to give those parlays out. This is enough information. But if you mix and match most of these items here, maybe into some teasers, some parlays, you should come out ahead more often than not. And we'll go over the numbers here. Rangers and Canes. I think it stays under the number. That's just my opinion. Rangers under the lights, under the spotlights. I think they're going to go ahead and try to bounce back here. They've had a couple of questionable games, but I do think they go ahead and keep the score low here. Same thing for the Flames and the Wings. The Flames and the Wings, their last 5 games, both teams are only averaging a total of 5 goals. So, maybe something crazy happens and, they pull the goalie at the end of the game, something like that. But the data says these 2 teams are going to keep it under. In Blues and Devils, I love second period over. They're 31-16 to that number. I also combine. Also, the third period over for these 2 teams, they're 33-14 put together. First third period over. So either one of those would be great. I like Bruins and Isles also to keep it low. In their 5 last games put together, the Bruins and the Isles are only averaging a total of 4.5 goals. Total, for and against, whatever. So again, I think that stays under the number. I think you would be good in Isles Bruins to go ahead and take no goal in the first 10 minutes as well. Canucks and Pens tonight. I think there's going to be goals by the bucket. Go ahead and take an over 6.5 on that's probably fine. Go ahead and tease it down, combine it with something else. I love the third period over for Pens and Canucks. They're a combined 30-11 on that prop for it to go over. I love the second period over in Leafs Panthers. They're a combined 34-9 on that prop. So of the 43 games the 2 of them have played, 34 times the number has gone over this year for these 2 teams, over the 1.5 goals in the second period. Like I said, love the Jackets tonight against the Canadiens. Love the over tees. Anytime the Jackets are playing, you could see a 5-4 game, 7-4 game, either way. But I do think the Jackets roll tonight. I love the third period over between these 2 teams. They're a combined 33-7 on that prop. So I'm going to have a few big boy parlays down at the Hard Rock, combine my best plays in college, NFL, in NHL, and this is going to be one of them. I like Jets and Kings to go over in the third period. They're a combined 32-12 on that prop. Same thing in Sharks and Senators. They're a combined 32-13 on that prop. I think you're going to see goals by the bucket between Colorado and Vegas. These two teams, they played a couple of weeks ago, and the score was 8-4 Vegas. I've got this game capped as going over 6.5 goals. You could probably go ahead and do that. I also love third period between these two teams. Their third period over prop is hitting at a clip of 36-8 this year. So that's pretty good. Again, don't bet the rent on this. I know it's hitting at like, what is that, 80%, but 20% of the time it's not hitting. So that's why you need good bankroll management, although I really think it's going to happen. Um, so I've got the Grand Slam tonight capped at 91.2 goals. I've yet to see a number offered by the book regarding the Grand Slam. The Grand Slam's been up and down this year. The other night, there were like 7.5 goals scored per game. But if you go back to last week, towards the end of the week, the goals per game was under six. So a bit of up and down with the NHL as far as scoring is concerned. But I can only go over the data and the trends, and everything leads me. And these props are where everything has led me. So that's it. I know it was a longer video, but we wanted to give you all the information with the statistics to back it up that we had time to go ahead and put it out there. We hope everybody has a good Drunksgiving tonight. Just stay home and drink. It's cheaper. But we hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving tomorrow, and don't eat too much. Don't drink too much. And if you tail us to the window, we will cash tickets together. Have a great day, everybody.